I don't know if you've ever been to Afghanistan,
No, I have not.
but the entire country is just like a giant sandbox. And then there are these rivers that run through it. And then on the banks of the rivers, it's completely green. They were able to grow so much food, they could feed every Afghan and export it to Pakistan. It's incredible. Now, or in 2009, for as far as the eye can see, nothing but heroin poppy. And they had to import almost 100% of their food, right? People's children don't have shoes. They don't have enough to eat. But man, they've got 93% of the world's heroin. Can you imagine that?
And was this intentional? Was this told by a government?
It's intentional.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind that the Taliban banned the cultivation of heroin poppy. So in 2000, Afghanistan accounted for 0% of the world's heroin.
This is in 2000.
This is in 2009.
0%.
Is it 2009? 2000 is 0. 2009, 93%
of the world heroin.
of all the heroin in the world.
Wow.
So I fly out to Kabul, and there was a helicopter waiting for me and took me to Bagram. This was the only time in my entire career that I ever pulled rank on somebody. They said, "Listen, we're not going to take you to the poppy fields. It's too dangerous." And I said, "No, you are going to take me." "No,
Who
it's
are you talking to?
to the military." "No, it's too dangerous." And I said, "Listen, with all due respect, and I hate to do this, it's not my nature, but being a senior staff member on a congressional oversight committee, I have brigadier general 1-star status. So I'm ordering you to fly me to Kandahar and then to Lashkar-Gah and then back to Bagram." So they did it. We go to Kandahar, and it was just a day of meetings in the base there. And I met the Afghans. They're all liars and criminals and narco traffickers. And then we flew to Lashkar-Gah, to something called the PRT, the Provisional Reconstruction. I forget what T stands for. It's a State Department function where they put you in the most isolated places in a country, and then you work with the locals to dig water wells, put up a windmill. Yeah. So we fly in, and I got lucky. I knew I was going to get lucky because the head of the PRT in Lashkar-Gah was a friend of mine from the State Department. So he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I'm getting real pushback from these guys. They don't want to do any of this. But what I want to do is just get in a Jeep."
Can you tell me why they didn't want to take you?
Because I was asking questions that made them very uncomfortable.
But why were they getting uncomfortable, the military?
Who's protecting the heroin fields?
Got it. That's an answer I wanted to hear from you. So, I knew, but
listen, I don't like the Taliban any more than you do.
Yeah.
But there was 0 heroin under the Taliban. And there's 93% heroin under the American government.
So what you tell me is that under the U.S. government protection, world's 93% of heroin was being overlooked by us, the U.S. military.
No. It was being encouraged by us.
Overlooked, encouraged to be distributed and to be spread.
That's the rub. So that's what I'm getting to. I said, I want to go out into the fields and I want to talk to a poppy farmer. He said, "Let's go." We had a couple of Jeeps. We had security. We had a translator. I don't speak Pashto. So we go out into the fields. And I mean, as far as your eyes can possibly see, it's just an ocean of heroin poppy. So sure enough, we see a poppy farmer. And we go up to him, "Salamu alaikum." And we get out, and he's like, "Who are you?" So I said, I'm from the Congress in Washington, and I want to talk to you about the poppy." He's like, "Okay, what about the poppy?" And I asked a very stupid question. It wasn't stupid, it was naive. I said, "Why would you grow poppy when you can grow vegetables with 2 growing seasons, like tomatoes or onions or pomegranates? You can cultivate them and then
export them,
reap them twice in a year and export them." And he goes like this. He goes, the Americans told me in 2001 that if I told them where the Arabs were, I could grow all the poppy I wanted. And I said, what American told you could grow poppy? And the security guy says, meeting over. And he grabs me by the arm and he physically pulls me back to the Jeep.
You know, while he's telling this story, I feel like it's a movie. I swear to God.
But none of the movies in my stories have good endings.
Yeah.
The good guy always gets screwed in my stories.
Yeah.
So we go back to the PRT. Oh, it's too dangerous. There's a threat on your... There was no threat. Nobody knew we were coming. We get back on the helicopter, fly all the way back to Bagram. The next day, I go back to Kabul, fly to Dubai, and then from Dubai to Washington. So I went to see Carrie the day after I got back, and I said, listen, it's a bad situation out there. 93% of the world's heroin. He's like, my God, I didn't even know it was that bad. It's incredible. It's blah, 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 blah. So I write this paper, and I point the finger right at the CIA and the U.S. military. And before I gave it to Carrie, I sent it to a friend of mine at DEA. I had these two friends who worked at a secret DEA facility way out in the sticks, way out in rural Virginia. You'd never have any idea it was a government office. And I said, read this, let me know what you think. So he calls me back, and he says, buddy, you know you're never going to get this published, right? And I said, why? I said, I'm the chief investigator. And he says, look, Afghanistan produces 93% of the world's heroin. Right, I said. He said, all of that heroin goes to Iran and Russia, and we want them to be addicted to heroin. It weakens their societies. It weakens their cultures. It makes them easier to beat.
And this is coming from
we have to fight them.
DEA.
Yeah, a DEA senior officer.
Wow.
And sure enough, Carrie says, you know, on second thought, I don't think it really does any good for us to publish this paper. It's angry and it points the finger, and I think we should probably just kill it.
But you're telling me no heroin came to the United States from Afghanistan?
Our heroin comes from Ecuador and Mexico.